In this video, I want to share why many highly sensitive men may feel like aliens. So, if you're a highly sensitive man and you're watching this video and you already can identify with the sensitivity trait and you recognize and understand within yourself that it is a part of who you are. It's a part of your being. It's a part of your experience from as early as you can remember. And you are in a place within your life where you've, in a sense, surrendered to the fact that this is a part of that genetic makeup. It's a part of the experience, a part of the earth school that is embedded in your essence here in this, particular journey of life. Then this video is for you. Um, as someone who, is a highly sensitive man, is someone who's an introvert. Shout out to my other INFJs if you're watching this video, and can recognize, from a young age and the journey of life, just how at different points, how alone I felt and how misunderstood, as well as how just unheard that I may have felt. I know how it is on the other end to experience these aspects and have this innate belief that something is wrong with you. And this belief can be very insidious. I mean, it can be something that has been created at a very young age, whether it be from society, whether it be from parents, friends, teachers, whoever that may be. And on a physiological level, when we're younger, before the ages of 5 and 6, we're just sponges. We're taking in every single thing that is in our environments, and we don't necessarily have the left brain logical processes being built in our brains to kind of decipher for what is true, what's real, and what is ultimately not useful. So depending on one's relationship at a young age to who it is that they thought of themselves as and how they were embraced by their caregivers, there can at times be this sense of disconnection. It's probably the best word. Disconnection to really feeling as if one is connected truthfully to anyone. And again, this is experienced from a place of depending on how one's early childhood environment was. So of different emotions around the whole sensitivity piece, around maybe there being a subtle level of quietness, a subtle level of being able to need space and rest in these particular aspects in order to thrive or in order to be a vibrant and lively kid. If these were not acknowledged or they weren't seen, and there wasn't a safe space for these to be cultivated and heard, then what can happen is whatever that belief system was or whatever that relationship was and how we related to it when we were younger, we ultimately just bring this forward within our lives. And many highly sensitive men, just on a level of being able to pick up on so many things that are unseen, and to have um, these qualities, these traits that, if we're even kind of comparing the polarity between masculine and feminine, to really, as men, to have a comfortability and an essence of intuition, of listening, of empathy, and to feel comfortable within those particular aspects. At least if one is operating from a place of balance, and if one is not overly stressed, or they're feeling as if they are in an environment that is really producing overstimulation, that naturally, when that does occur, there can be a sense of kind of putting the guard up, like um, creating this sense of protection. If that is not the environment that is being experienced, there's a certain sense of balance, then these particular emotions and these feelings and these sensitivities, um, they're at their most aligned and superpower-esque level. Because when we are able to be in balance, be grounded, be centered, have a certain sense of presence, a certain sense of depth, a certain sense of connection to ourselves, then that's when we're operating at our best. That's when we're operating at a sense of not only feeling connected to our hearts and connected to our truth, but being able to see and connect with others into their heart space and into their truth as well, from a place of love. So I want to go back to this whole alien piece, because what can end up happening is, I'll speak about myself, and maybe some of you can relate to this, is I used to have this label on what I perceived introversion to be. From a young age, my label around what it meant to be an introvert was, it meant being antisocial, it meant being awkward, it meant being a computer nerd, it meant not being able to communicate and have any interest or desire in being around other people. And it wasn't until, in my case, about 8 years ago, yeah, 8 years ago, that I became aware of the fact that I myself was an introvert. And I was taking tests, Myers-Briggs, 16 personalities, and tested as an INFJ. And when I tested as this, I a lot of emotions came up for me then, a lot. And what I was experiencing was this sense of really feeling seen, feeling heard, and feeling connected to myself. And I don't know, it was a very transformational experience for me on that particular level of just feeling like there's somebody else out there in this world who understands me, and also from a place of maybe even better understanding myself, instead of having this belief that something is wrong with me. And I know many men, sensitive men, have experiences of this, maybe can relate to it. Maybe the rhythm of the culture, if we're talking about Western culture, can maybe go at a pace that really isn't as conducive for a sensitive male, as far as the rhythm in which they may operate at their best. maybe the different aspects that are often cherished or often looked at as high achievements on a societal level, whether it be, grades, awards, job accomplishments, income, salary, whatever that may be that is deemed, usually on a societal and maybe even on a parental level, depending on, again, that relationship growing up, as okay, you've made it, you're a success. Um, it doesn't work for many sensitive men. And what I mean is, I mention this from a place of there is absolutely nothing wrong at all with having a desire to create a certain level of income, a certain level of tangible goals in other aspects that are able to show a certain level of progression in one's life. But what I mean is, for many sensitive men, they understand that there's something that's deeper there. It's deeper than just the surface, deeper than just what society may actually define as success. And I see this time and time again. I saw this within myself, growing up, even as a sensitive kid. I was an athlete. I grew up playing sports, having an affinity for basketball. When I was younger, I even played football. When I was in middle school, played 1 year of college basketball. Had this affinity and this love, which I still do for sports. I love basketball. I played basketball. When I went to university and graduated, my degree was in sport management, and it was centered around the aspect that I had this love and this desire to be around the industry in some level, some way, some shape, some form. And if I wasn't good enough to play professionally, then why not create a career and be a quote unquote success within that realm? So what ended up happening for me is, and I won't go through the whole entire story because I've spoken about this before, but being able to get to a certain point of success, a certain point of society, you've made it. Brandon, you've made it, man. You've arrived. Being this man, this black man who was the only minority within a senior sales position with the #1 sports franchise in the world. And being there and reaching this, and then realizing in my heart that this is cool. I'm grateful for this, but this ain't it. This is not it. And being able to experience that and feel alone, feel misunderstood, feel as if other people don't understand, trying to have conversations with other individuals who were not necessarily able to understand where it was that I was coming from. And what ended up happening in my experience, and I know this happens to many other men, is when you feel like you're not being heard or understood, you can tend to close yourself off, and protect yourself so that you're not putting yourself in positions where you're communicating and it feels like it's not really being received or reached on the other end. And when we do that, guess what? We tend to continue to close ourselves off. And on a physiological level, that is the pattern that we tend to create within our bodies. And I want to speak about the body because it can be really easy to spend time upstairs in the brain on an intellectual level. Really easy to have thoughts, Many of the men who I support, they're visionaries. I mean, these guys are just brilliant minds. Brains are just automatically and naturally wired to see and solve complex problems, to be able to pick up on their environments, to be very emotionally in tune with themselves and the environments around them, while at the same time can sometimes find it difficult to be in the body. And what I mean by being in the body is being in a very grounded, present space of taking what's up in the mind after what's in the mind is filtered through the heart, and then simply put, taking a mindful, authentic, and aligned action forward. Because what can happen is, if there has been this relationship of closing off when things feel uncomfortable, or closing off when certain emotions or triggers are kind of flickered, then that in itself, it becomes the relationship to how one shows up in all levels whenever that certain aspect is again flickered, whether it's in career, whether it's in a relationship, whether it's in how one takes care of themselves and how they take care of their body. All of these different aspects are integrated. And the more that we integrate within ourselves, and the more that we choose to create some sense of community. And what I mean by community, that can be it's a very unique and individual aspect. Community can be as little as having one or two individuals who you can really be yourself and connect with on a deep level. Preferably those individuals are men, because there is a certain level of depth and a certain level of connection with man to man that ultimately is not available when it comes to man to woman. And I want to be clear on this, clear from a place of, I'm not saying one is better than the other, but there is a difference. There's a difference. And that in itself is how we move from this sense of feeling like an alien or an outsider, misunderstood, or alone, to feeling understood, to feeling heard, to feeling connected, to feeling supported, to feeling uplifted as we surround ourselves with others who are sensitive, who are heart-centered, who are committed to a path in life that is really elevating them to some higher level, to some higher essence that is bigger than just whatever society's labels may be, but is coming from a place that is deeply integrated in the heart and the soul. Because we can't walk away, or we can't turn our backs on the heart. We can, but if we do that, it's like we're closing off a portion of ourselves, and we're not allowing ourselves the full capacity of our power to be formed. So the more that we are able to continue to open ourselves up to create relationships with others where we actually have the opportunity to feel safe, to feel heard, and to be vulnerable and in sharing whatever it is that's present for us, while at the same time having a certain level of focus, a certain level of clarity around what one's vision is as far as what they're aiming towards, and being able to continue to navigate forward, even during those times when a part of being a spiritual being in this human experience, we may feel off center and off balance. But again, opening ourselves up and choosing to show up. Again, opening ourselves up and choosing to communicate and share what it is that's on our heart, that is desiring to be expressed. Again, opening ourselves up and allowing ourselves to be present with whatever it is that's coming up for us, and loving that with the same level of grace, of compassion, of non-judgment, as we would to those aspects that may come a little bit easier to love, which may not feel uncomfortable inside of our bodies. This, and what I'm sharing, this is the work. And this is a call forward to those sensitive men who recognize within themselves that they're here to create a massive impact in the world. They're here to share themselves. They have a story. They have something inside of their hearts that desires to be channeled and expressed out into the world. It's for those men who say, you know what? All these different beliefs and these aspects that maybe I've had and I've carried with me from a very young age, all of that has been beautiful. And different aspects within that has shown me where my superpower and my strength really does lie. And from that place, taking all these experiences from a sense of empowerment, a sense of appreciation, a sense of gratitude. And as we look at these experiences through the lens of gratitude, appreciation, and of self-empowerment, we tap deeper and deeper into our mission. We tap deeper and deeper into our hearts. And what we continue to channel and create in the world within our lives is coming from a harmonized and authentic in a place of inner alignment. And when we create from that place, it can be felt. It's an energetic expression that others can pick up on. And the more that we are in alignment with that truth within ourselves, the more impact we're able to create, not only within our lives, but within the world around us, and elevate somebody else's life through the extension and the expression of how it is that we individually are choosing to consciously show up. That's all I got. If anything landed for you, if anything made sense or you feel a connection to, feel free to share in the comments. And yeah, if you're sensitive, know that you're strong. Know that you were born with these traits for a reason. And know that right now, at this moment, more than any other moment in our history, this is the time to move forward. This is the time to harness that strength, that sensitivity, that superpower inside of ourselves, and bring that out unapologetically and lovingly into the world.